I'm going to slightly break down and predict every single March Madness first round game, round of 64 game. I'm going to drop my full predictions for every game tomorrow in the middle of the day. I'm pretty much just going to go over every single pick. But here are all my picks for the round of 64, going more in depth. Starting it off, you got the first four. My Tar Heels play San Diego State. We're going to keep this one fairly simple. We better not lose this game. That would be such a disappointment. UNC will move on and take on Ole Miss. And then St. Francis, PA, and Alabama State. Don't really know much about either of these two teams, but what I can understand is Alabama State is the better team, so I'm going to pick Alabama State to win. Mount St. Mary's and American. Don't really know much about either of these two teams, but one thing I do know about American is my Tar Heels blew them out. Give me Mount St. Mary's to win this game. And then Xavier, Texas. I think it'll be a disappointment if Texas loses this game. We all want to see Trey Johnson in March Madness. Come on, what are we saying? Xavier is good, and they might have a better roster overall than Texas, but Texas played in the harder conference this year in the SEC. Give me Texas to win this game and advance. Now moving into the actual tournament, I'm going to get these ones that are just so obvious out of the way. We've seen the vulnerabilities out of Auburn, but there's no way they lose to either of these two teams right here. I think Auburn wins this game, and I think they cover the money line, which is like minus 28.5 with the most ease they ever have had in their entire life. I'm kidding, but like Auburn's easily going to win this game. Louisville and Creighton is a very interesting game. I think this one could go really either way. We're seeing a Creighton team with Ryan Kalkbrenner, one of the best centers in all of college basketball. I definitely think there's a high chance that he wins the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar award, but at the same time, I think that the ACC is a little better than the Big East. That is kind of my reasoning here. Louisville's been disrespected in this. They don't deserve to be an 8 seed. They totally deserve to be like a 5-6 seed. So I'm picking Louisville to win this game. Michigan and UC San Diego should be interesting. UC San Diego making their first ever tournament appearance. I've seen people picking the upset of this one, but Michigan's a really good team. They just won the Big Ten. Yale's had tons of success in March, but Texas A&M's obviously the better team. Give me Texas A&M. Moving into this bottom part of the South right here, we started off with Ole Miss against either San Diego State or UNC. I obviously picked my Tar Heels to win this game. And yeah, Ole Miss is a really good team. They got one of the better players in the SEC in Sean Padula, but he's no match to RJ Davis, who's obviously the better player. I think UNC's got more firepower in this game. UNC's got more options. Tar Heels take a close one. Iowa State Lipscomb's definitely a game where I could take the upset. Iowa State's been very vulnerable all season long. I don't know if they quite fit the criteria to be a 3 seed. They definitely do have a lot of good wins though, and Iowa State should roll through Lipscomb. A game that I was very uncertain about in my predictions earlier today when I was live, I did pick New Mexico to beat Marquette. I've had problems with picking for both these teams in the past. I did pick Marquette as my champion 2 years ago. I did pick New Mexico to go to the Elite 8 last year, and they lost, I think, in maybe the first round. But in this one, I'm going to go Marquette. I still think they're slightly better. Upsets can always happen, but I still don't want to overthink this one. Give me Michigan State over Bryant. If I say don't overthink it, I better get that right. Moving into what I think is the West, not fully sure, I think it is. We started off with a 1 versus 16 matchup, Florida, Norfolk State. Not going to overthink this one, give me Florida. Just a little sneak peek to my predictions, I have Florida going quite far. UConn and Oklahoma should be a battle. Oklahoma's got a really solid starting lineup. Obviously, they got Jeremiah Fears, an incredible freshman. UConn's going for the 3-peat, and ultimately, they're not going to get it, as you guys can see right there. But I do still believe in UConn, and I'm going to pick them to win this game over Oklahoma. Memphis and Colorado State. Colorado State, a team kind of on the border. They did win their conference, though, securing them one of the higher auto bids in college basketball, getting a 12 seed. Memphis is a good team, as they also won the AAC, and they're a ranked team. I have more faith in Memphis, even though I wanted to pick the upset here. Give me Memphis to get that win. Final game down here at the bottom, we got Maryland and Grand Canyon. I had Grand Canyon win some games last year. They disappointed me. Maryland's in the Big Ten. They've proven to be one of the best teams all year. They've been very consistent, very not consistent. Also, all teams haven't been consistent. I'm picking Maryland. Moving on down here, we got a showdown between the 11 seed and the 6 seed, Drake and Missouri. In this matchup, historically, the 11 seeds won, I think, 50% of the time. Drake got off to the hottest start of all teams in college basketball. Believe it or not, I think they had the best winning streak to start the season. Or no, I think they're the last team that was undefeated, actually. They were like 12-0 at one point. And I'm not very high on Missouri. I'm picking Drake to get the upset right here. Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. I'm picking Texas Tech. JT Toppin's one of the best players in college basketball. They should not lose this game. They better not lose this game. Kansas and Arkansas should be a really good first-round matchup, but I'm not picking against the team that was ranked for 4 straight years. I know they did have a bad end to the season, but they've got all the powers. They've just got so many stars. They got Hunter Dickinson, Daquan Harris, the Mayo Man himself. They're just a good team. I'm picking Kansas to win this game. St. John's and Omaha. Omaha's not getting the upset, if you guys were wondering. Rick Pitino's going to continue to roll with this St. John's team. Magical season they have been having, and yeah, St. John's is going to move on to the next round. I'm not overthinking that one, guys. Moving on to the East, I think this is the East. We got Duke playing whatever team they play. Duke's obviously going to win. But I'm just asking one of these two teams to pull off the third ever matchup where 16s beat a 1. I really want that to happen. Baylor, Mississippi State. A lot of people here are taking Mississippi State. But I just don't see it. I picked this Baylor team to go all the way to the Final Four. They're obviously not going to do that. Baylor are two of the best transfers this offseason in Jeremy Roach and Norchad Omier. And also have one of the best freshmen in VJ Edgecombe. This Baylor team better beat Mississippi State. Next, we got Oregon and Liberty. I don't really see a way that Liberty wins this game. And I am a really big fan of Oregon center Nate Biddle. He's a great player. He can really do everything. So I'm going to pick Oregon to win this game, and I don't think it's going to be very close. Arizona and Akron. Another guy I'm rooting for, just a straight-up win in this point of his career, is Caleb Love. I don't want to see Caleb Love's final career game be against Akron. I also don't know much about Akron. I know more about Arizona. So hopefully Caleb Love wins and continues to play, but you guys are going to see my prediction for the next round. Bottom side of this region, we got BYU and VCU. Some of you guys called me out in a video that I dropped the other day calling BYU overrated. Pretty much just meant in that video that I'm not very high on BYU. I don't have them going very far, and yeah, I don't have them going anywhere. I have VCU upsetting BYU. I honestly expect Wisconsin and Montana to be a murder. Wisconsin's been playing some great basketball. John Tonge is so good, and this Wisconsin team is just so good at shooting. I think they're going to blow Montana out. I was so stuck picking the St. Mary's and Vanderbilt game, and I'm currently wearing the St. Mary's shirt too. I'm not a St. Mary's fan. I just had a basketball tournament there last year, so I got this shirt. But St. Mary's and Vanderbilt's interesting because you got St. Mary's, a team that's lost like 5 games all year. And then you got Vanderbilt, a team that's lost a lot more, but they're in the SEC with 14 teams in this tournament. When you break it down, really look at the numbers, I had to go with St. Mary's. I'm just taking the higher seed. Alabama and Robert Morris, don't expect much from this game. I just expect Mark Sears, Grant Nelson, those guys just to eat all game. There's not much on Robert Morris, so Alabama will easily win this game. Final side of this bracket, we got Houston against SIU Edwardsville. I think that's what it is. I don't know what the SIU stands for. I'm going to pick Houston to win this game. They've shown that they're one of the best teams in college basketball. And here's a hot take. Kelvin Sampson's the top 5 coach of all time. Gonzaga and Georgia might straight up be the best game we get this entire first round. 8 versus 9 seed. And this is the exact definition of a game with two teams coming from the exact different directions. First off, one team's coming all the way from Georgia. The other one's coming all the way from Washington. Complete opposite sides of the country. One team pretty much dominated a bad conference, but one team struggled in the best conference. Tough start to the season for Gonzaga, but a great end, and that's the opposite for Georgia. When it comes down to it, though, I'm picking the team that's had more success over the years. That's Gonzaga. They got the better player. Give me Gonzaga. You don't understand how close I was to picking McNeese to beat Clemson, but Clemson's got all the firepower. Ian Shefflin, Chase Hunter, they have just so many good players. I'm picking Clemson. And then this is the first big upset I have. I'm picking High Point to beat Purdue. Purdue's got some really bad losses, and you gotta have a big upset somewhere. Moving on to the final part here of the bracket of the first round. You started off with Illinois against either Texas or Xavier. My pick was Texas. If Xavier does win this game, I am going to pick Illinois to win. I don't know. I just have so much more trust in Texas. I don't think either of them are actually better than Illinois, but with my own very eyes, I watched Illinois get smacked by Duke by 43. I know that's Duke, the #1 team in the country, but still, I'm not trusting them. Give me Texas to beat Illinois. Kentucky and Troy, I did want to pick the upset right here. But Kentucky did lose last year as a 3 seed. It's not going to happen back-to-back years in a row. They know what they got to do. They got a new head coach in Mark Pope. Give me Kentucky to beat Troy. Utah State and UCLA, I was definitely thinking about this game for a long time. As a UNC fan, I don't really want to pick against UCLA because that was our only quad 1 win. But I think Utah State was more consistent, and I think that's definitely a very safe 10-7 matchup to predict the 10 seed in. Tennessee and Wofford. The only reason why I would pick Wofford to win this game is because their name sounds like waffle, and I love waffles, but give me Tennessee.